Hi, Genevieve Jacobs from Region Media with this week's news update. Now, next week, an important milestone for the ACT, along with many other places around Australia, will be marking Anti-Poverty Week from October 17th to the 23rd. Dr. Emma Campbell is with me. She's the co-chair of the ACT's Anti-Poverty Week events this year, along with Jenny Kitchen from Woden Community Services. Emma, terrific to have you with us. What is Anti-Poverty Week?
Yeah, look, Anti-Poverty Week is when we take a week each year for people to talk about and contemplate issues of poverty and disadvantage in Australia, and also to think about ways and changes to policy that can bring about improvements for people on low incomes and who face disadvantage.
Often here in the ACT, people will say, well, this is a very wealthy city. We don't have to really worry about that. Those of us who have engaged with this for a while know that poverty can be very much hidden in the ACT, but nonetheless real. And there are a couple of particular focal points this year, how poverty affects children and also homelessness. And those are both quite urgent issues in the ACT, aren't they?
That's right. So we have some of the highest averages in the ACT. We have the highest median income, for example, and some of that hides the real poverty and disadvantage that is on our doorstep in Canberra. For example, we have over 38,000 people in Canberra living in poverty, and that includes 9,000 children. And one of the challenges of living in a jurisdiction where wages are high is because cost of living is also very high. And we know we have the highest rentals anywhere in Australia. So if you're on a low income, if you're receiving income support, it's really hard to get by in Canberra, to keep a roof over your head, keep food on the table. And that's what we want to highlight in Anti-Poverty Week, that there are issues right here. At the moment, we have a shortage of around 3,100 social dwellings. We really need to address our housing crisis in the ACT because we're seeing growing numbers of people experiencing housing insecurity and homelessness, including families.
And I guess if we sort of think of the impacts of that, there's that big gap between so many people who are very comfortable in Canberra and then people who are really struggling, and thinking about the impact on children in particular, the insecurity, the issues that causes that block them from living life to their full potential is really something that affects us all. So the message is poverty is real, and poverty affects everyone.
Yeah, a society where everyone has a fair go, where children have the opportunity to access the education and the opportunities that allow them to fully participate in our future economy benefits all of us. Significant inequality and gaps don't benefit anyone. And so that's why I think all of us should pay attention to issues of poverty and inequality. And also, there's just no reason why we should have poverty and inequality in a jurisdiction and in a country that is so wealthy and so prosperous.
So, Emma, this year Anti-Poverty Week has been made more complicated by the effects of the pandemic and the issues that we've all been having with how to gather, how to draw attention to causes that are important. So how are you managing it this year?
Well, look, it's given us some opportunities to be a bit more creative. Perhaps in the past, we would have just brought people together for an event or for a chat. So we've got a lot of events that are going online and trying to get more events into people's workplaces or homes. So we've got Let's Take 10 to talk about poverty, which is an opportunity for families and friends or an online meeting to just take 10 minutes out of that meeting to have a chat about poverty and disadvantage in the ACT and learn what can be done and what you can do to bring about some change. We have an online art competition where we're asking people, young people and children under the age of 18 to send in their art, which describes their aspirations. And people are able to come online from next Monday the 18th to vote and choose their favourite piece of art. We're lighting up the Carillion and also Telstra Towers so that people can think about poverty for those of us who are still on the road and driving to and from work. And we've also got some online events. For example, Genevieve, you had the chance to talk to Hugh Mackay about the challenges we see in our community and what we can do about it. And so we'll be inviting people to watch that also.
And I think that's been a brilliant conversation, thinking about how the effects of poverty ripple throughout communities and just the sheer degree of injustice. And certainly we here at Region Media, and I'm very honoured to be part of all of this for Anti-Poverty Week and to be an ambassador this year. I guess, Emma, if we think this through, as you say, the 10-minute conversation is perhaps all it takes. How does this matter to me? How can I alleviate these issues within our community? How it's a responsibility for all of us. Have you got some additional resources online? Are there ways that people can find out about what they can do this week?
That's right. So you can go to the ACOS website where we have a little badge that says Anti-Poverty Week. Click on there and you'll find out a little bit more about us. Also, the Hands Across Canberra website has lots of information about Anti-Poverty Week. We're also calling on people to support Hands Across Canberra, which gives money directly to ACT-based charities that support people facing vulnerability and disadvantage. And we have this great partnership with Region Media this year, the Riot app, which will also have links and information about Anti-Poverty Week and some of the issues that we want people to focus on. So 3 ways that you can find out a little bit more about poverty and disadvantage and what you can do to change things.
So we're really excited to be part of this. Also making news this week on the Riot Act website. We've got the story, quite complex and quite concerning one, of the number of people who've tried to buy units off the plan and have had their contracts rescinded. Now, that's not currently illegal in the ACT, but there's some real concern from the government about the injustice that's implicit in putting your deposit down and then being told that the unit's being taken off the market. Some controls around in New South Wales and Victoria, but that looks like a real developing row. Ian Fraser's also written for us about ravens. Ravens big, ravens small, ravens attacking drones. They look huge and brave, but are they? What do you know about them? Much more about that on the Riot Act site. And we've also had that huge earthquake just a few weeks ago. And the earth tremor shook us all the way from Melbourne up to Canberra and beyond, but we've got our own fault at Lake George. Could that cause a large quake at any time? Join in our great big Canberra conversation. Lots of ways for you to do that. You can join us via your email inbox. We've got a newsletter that drops in every Thursday, or a daily digest. Sign up for those and come on board for all the things that make Canberra worth talking about. I'm Genevieve Jacobs. This is Region Media.